everyone, I'm Kristel and Celemin from the Batangas State University, Alangilan Campus, taking Bachelor of Science in Information Technology from the section 2105.
This video is all about the uh, tutorial for the chapter 9 and the chapter 9 entitled Transport Layer. So let me read first this one. So data networks and the internet support the human network by supplying reliable communication between people. So on a single device, people can use multiple applications and services such as email, the web, and instant messaging to send messages or retrieve information. Data from each of these applications is packaged, transported, and delivered to the appropriate application on the destination. So the process described is the OSI transport layer. So transport layer, so the topic for the chapter 9. So in this layer, it accepts data from the application layer and prepare it for addressing at the network layer. A source computer communicates with the receiving computer to decide how to break up data into segments, how to make sure none of the segments get lost, and how to verify all the segments arrive when thinking about the transport layer. Did a shipping department preparing a single uh, order of multiple packages for delivery? So let's start with the role of the transport layer. So the transport layer is responsible for establishing a temporary communication session between two applications and delivering data between them. So it says here that the uh, role or the responsibility of the transport layer uh, is to establish uh, it's just a temporary communication between two applications and it also for them to deliver data between them. So this one is the transport layer. So going down, so the transport layer moves data between applications on devices in the network. So the application then here, this one is the transport, then the internet network access, and this one is the TCP IP model, and also this one. Then going up. So this one, the IP phone to IP phone, then the television or the television, this one, the mobile phones. The transport layer responsibility. Tracking individual conversation. So the transport layer tracks each individual conversation flowing between a source application and a destination application separately. So it says here that the transport layer it tracks the source application and the destination application. The number two is the transport layer divides the data into the segments that are easier to manage and transport. So in the transport layer, so it divides the data into segments. So the data becomes segments for them to easily manage and transport. Then the last one is the identifying. So identifying application. Um, the transport layer ensures that even with multiple applications running on a device, all applications receive the correct data. So uh, it ensures that even let's say if the one computer have a multiple, it has assistant messaging, multiple web pages, then online video chatting and streaming video, it can receive the correct data. Conversation multiplexing. So, sending some types of data, for example, a streaming video, across a network such as complete communication stream can consume all available bandwidth. So, this one. Segmentation allows conversation multiplexing. Multiple applications can use the network at the same time. So, the multiplexing, it can use the network at the same time, and the segmentation facilitates data transport by the lower layer network. So, they have here the error checking can be performed on the data in the segment to check if the segment was changed during transmission. So, the error checking is uh, uh, the segments. It is they check if the segment was changed during the transmission. Transport layer reliability. Transport layer is also responsible for managing reliability requirements of a conversation. So uh, they they uh, they also responsible for the reliability. The TCP transport is analogous to sending packages that are tracked from the source to destination. So the TCP transport analogous to sending packages that are tracked from the source to destination. So let's play this one. The FTP, then the file is sent to a server using the file transfer protocol. So the meaning of FTP application, TCP tracks the conversation and segments the data to be sent into 6 segments. So they send a data and then they go to internet and they send it to the FTP. The file server acknowledge the first 3 segments received and then they have the reply. The client forwarded 3 segments. Internet again, no segments are found. No segments are found. So client resends. So it says that it doesn't didn't find. So this one received again and then uh the final 3 segments are received. The UDP. While the TCP reliability functions provide more robust communication between applications, they also incur additional overhead and possible delays in transmission. There is a trade-off between the value of reliability and the burden it places on network resources. So let's try this one again. A file is sent to a server using the Trivial File Transfer Protocol or the TFTP application. UDP segments the data to be sent and sends all data best effort. So this one, he will send it to the TFTP and the value received L6 no acknowledgement is sent. So it is done here. The write transport layer protocol for the write application. So let's focus on this figure. So let's go first in the UDP. The IP telephony and streaming live video. Required protocol properties, so it must be fast, low overhead, does not require acknowledgement, does not resend lost data, delivers data as it arrives. So the TCP is required protocol properties. It is reliable, acknowledges data, resends lost data, delivers data in sequence order. Then the TCP features, establishing a session. Ensures the application is ready to receive the data. So, uh, the features of the one feature of the TCP is that establishing a session. So, it ensures that the application is ready to receive the data. Then, same order delivery. Ensure that the segments are reassembled into the proper order. So, we'll know that segments, so they divide the data, so they make sure it or they ensure that this is in order and they reassemble it into the proper order. So that is very important for the data not to be uh, changed. Then reliable delivery means lost segments are resent. Reliable delivery means lost segments are resent so that so the data is received complete. So if it doesn't receive it, so they resent it for the data to receive completely. Then flow control. Ensure that the receiver is able to process the data received. So if the receiver receive the data, so they must know how to process that. The TCP header. So as shown in the figure, each TCP segment has 22 bytes of overhead in the header, encapsulating the application layer data. Source port 16 bits. So this one, it has a 16-bit source port. Source port has a 16 bits and destination port is also 16 bits. Used to identify the application. So the source port and the destination port is used to identify the application. Then the next one is sequence number 32 bits. So this one is used for data reassembly purposes. The sequence, so it must be in order. Then the next one is acknowledgement number. So indicates data has been received and next byte expected from the source. So in here, so the indicates data has been received. So all received had been is indicates here. Then header length 4 bits. No, this one. Data known as data offset indicates the length of TCP segment header. So 4, so it means that it has this is the length of the TCP segment header. Then the next one is reserved 6 bits. The field this field is reserved for the future. So simply it is reserved for the future. Then control bits includes bit codes or flags which indicate the purpose and function of the TCP segment. Then the window size 16 bits indicates the number of bytes that can be accepted one time at one time. So the window, so this one is indicates the bytes can be accepted at one time. Then the checksum, it is used for the error checking of the segment header and data. Then the next one is the urgent, used for the urgent is for this one indicates the data is urgent. Then they have the options here. Then application layer data. Size varies. So the UDP features. So the first feature is data is reconstructed in the order that is received. So once they receive it, so they reconstruct it, the data. Then any segments lost are not present. So if there is example, there's a two segment loss, so they will not present it anymore. Then no session establishment, so they don't have the session establishment. Then does not inform the sender about resource availability. The port numbers. So the source port and the destination port. So let's start with the source port. So the source port number is dynamically generated by the sending devices to identify a conversation between two devices. So source, it means that it is the source, or here when we start sending the data. Then the destination port is the destination of the data. The client places a destination port number in the segment to tell the destination server what service is being requested, as shown in the figure. So let's start with the 0 to 1023. So well-known ports. So these numbers are reserved for services and applications. So it is for the services and applications. Then the registered ports, the numbers 1024 to 49,151. These ports number are assigned to IANA or the IANA to requesting entity to use with specific processes or applications. Then the dynamic or private port, so the 49,152 to 65,535, also known as ephemeral ports. So these are the usually assigned dynamically by the client's OS when a connection to a service is initiated. The nestant command. So the command for this, to display this table, you will type just the nestat. Then they can indicate that something or someone is connected to the local host. So just like this one. So the local address, the foreign address, and then says here that by the default, the nested command will attempt to resolve IP address to domain names and port numbers to well-known application. The uh, dash n option can be used to display IP addresses and port numbers in the numerical form. So they are in the numerical form. So the TCP three-way handshake. The three-way handshake establishes the destination device is present on the network. So they need to have the destination device first, then verify the destination device has an active service and is accepting requests on the destination port numbers that initiating clients intend to use. So uh, it needs to verify first the destination device and is accepting requests to on the destination port that initiating the client's intent to use. Then It also informs the destination device that the source client intends to establish a communication session on the port number. So, the destination device should uh, establish a communication session on that port number. TCP reliability ordered deliver. So the data is divided into segments. TCP segments may arrive at their destination out of order. For the original message to be understood by the recipient, the data in these segments is reassembled into the original order. Sequence numbers are assigned in the header of the packet to achieve this goal. The sequence number represents the first data byte of the TCP segment. So, just like this one. Different segments may take different routes. So the data is divided into segments. So the data is divided into segments. So it has a six segments. Then having taken different routes to the destination, segments arrive out of order. So since they take different routes going to their destination, so the segments meet or arrive in the destination port in uh in order, out of order. So uh they are not in order. So TCP reorders the segments to the origin. So the TCP is the one that who will uh reassembles the segments into original order to become like this. Flow TCP flow control, window size, and acknowledgement. So let's go first with the window size. The window size determines the number of bytes uh, that can be sent before expecting an acknowledgement. So the window size, so it determines the number of bytes that can be sent. Then the acknowledgement that can be sent before the acknowledgement, and the acknowledgement is the number of the next expected byte. UDP low overhead versus reliability. So it says here that UDP does not establish a connection before sending data. UDP does not establish a connection before sending data. UDP provides low overhead data transport because it has a small datagram header and no network management traffic. So it says here that the UDP doesn't have the connection to the receiver before sending a data. Like for example, this PC it will send the data here. So the UDP doesn't have any communication between this PC. UDP datagram reassemble. So the data, since that the data divides, so they different, it becomes different order. It says there, out of order datagrams are not reordered. Then lost datagrams are not resent. So uh, like so it is a one datagram 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they only arrive in the destination are only the datagram 1, 2, 6, 5, 4. So the 1 and 2 uh 1, 2, 6, 5, 4 is not in order, and then it is also not reordered. Then some data lost like 3 is the lost datagrams are not resent. UDP server processes and requests. Client requests to servers have well-known port numbers as the destination port. So, server application is received on the port 53. Client requests to servers have well-known port numbers. So, the client will request to the servers for the port numbers as the destination port. Applications that use TCP. So these are the applications that uses a TCP. It is the HTTP, the FTP, SMTP, and Telnet. So these applications I already discussed to you about in the previous chapter. Then TCP and the TCP is uses the IP or the Internet Protocol. So this is the summary of the chapter 9. The transport layer provides transport-related services by dividing data received from an application into segments. So the data is divided, so we call that a segment. Then adding a header to identity and manage each segment using the header information to reassemble the segments back into the application. So, since the data is divided and it became segments, so if it arrives into the destination destination port, so it become in order, so out of order. So, uh, the header reassembled it and making it into the original position. Then passing the assembled data to the correct application. So after that, so the assembled data or is will pass that into the correct application. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching.